Everyone is talking like AI already beats humans at work. Not might, not could, already does. And I reckon that's the first con in this whole thing, because almost no one stops and asks the obvious question, does it actually work when the job gets messy?
Yeah, that's the tension. AI is being presented as more capable than people, but without the same accountability we demand from a human employee, a manager, or a team. In a boardroom, that often gets reduced to one very dangerous sentence. The demo looked good.
Mate, the demo. The world's most expensive magic trick. Nice clean interface, perfect prompt, tidy data, no weird customer, no cranky regulator, no busted workflow from 2009 hanging on with cable ties and hope.
Exactly. A demo is a controlled environment. Real companies are not controlled environments. They're layered with exceptions, legacy systems, informal workarounds, approval chains, and people quietly fixing problems nobody bothered to document. That difference matters.
And leaders keep mixing up task automation with actual capability. That's the bit that does my head in. If a system can draft an email, summarize a ticket, maybe sort a few requests, that does not mean it can run the whole process end to end. That's like saying because I can tighten one bolt on my trail bike, I'm ready to rebuild the engine blindfolded. Not even close.
Right. Automating a task inside a workflow is not the same as owning the workflow. End-to-end capability means handling handoffs, exceptions, trade-offs, context, and consequences. It means knowing when the normal path is no longer the right path.
And the funny thing is, executives kind of want to believe the bigger story, because it's cleaner. Humans are expensive, complicated, occasionally stubborn. Software looks neat on a slide. It gives this lovely illusion that cost can be removed, and performance will somehow rise at the same time.
There's also a psychological convenience to it. If you believe the tool is inherently superior, you don't have to examine why your organization struggles in the first place. You don't have to ask whether the process is broken, whether leadership is unclear, whether teams are undertrained, whether incentives are misaligned. You can just say, technology will fix it.
Yep, it becomes a shortcut past self-awareness. And look, I'm not anti-AI. That'd be silly. Some of it is genuinely useful. But useful is not the same as autonomous. Helpful is not the same as dependable. Works in a demo is not works in production at scale. Those are wildly different beasts.
I might be wrong on the exact wording, but the pattern is clear. Organizations keep treating narrow competence as broad competence. And once that assumption enters a strategy deck, it spreads fast. Suddenly a pilot becomes a transformation program, and a transformation program becomes an operating model change.
And then somehow everyone acts shocked when the thing that was brilliant in a workshop turns into a goose in the office. Because real work has friction. People chase missing info. They spot dodgy edge cases. They ring someone in compliance. They know who to escalate to. That invisible stuff is the job. It's not side salad.
That's well put. The invisible coordination layer is usually where capability lives. If leadership doesn't understand that, they can mistake surface fluency for operational competence. And that's the setup for the next problem, because once they believe the illusion, it becomes very easy to use AI for something other than improvement.
Yeah, and this is where it gets ugly. A lot of so-called AI strategy isn't transformation at all. It's financial engineering with a tech label. The target is already headcount reduction. AI just walks in wearing the name badge.
That's the core governance issue for me. The decision gets framed as innovation, but the operational design work hasn't been done yet. In some cases, the savings are modeled before the systems are proven. So the organization commits to removing people first, then hopes the technology catches up.
Hope is not much of an operating model, is it? And the incentives are crooked. Short-term savings show up nicely. Fewer salaries, good quarter, everyone pats themselves on the back. But resilience doesn't show up as neatly, because you only notice it when it's gone.
Yes, financial incentives tend to reward visible reductions faster than they reward durable capability. So leaders can look efficient while actually making the system more fragile. They extract cost from the human layer without understanding what that human layer was stabilizing.
And what was it stabilizing? Plenty. Institutional knowledge, for starters. The person who knows why one client always needs a weird exception. The team lead who can smell when a request might trigger compliance trouble. The ops manager who knows that if System A spits out a certain code, System B is about to throw a tantrum. That stuff's rarely in the manual.
And when those people leave, the dependency chains don't disappear. They become hidden. That's what worries me. On paper, the organization looks leaner. In reality, it's more brittle. A process that worked because experienced people were constantly intervening now depends on a tool that may only handle the standard path.
Which means the remaining employees get smashed. The work doesn't vanish. The weird work stays. The angry work stays. The high-stakes work definitely stays. So the people left behind end up doing the exceptions, the escalations, the cleanup, and the explaining. They become janitors for a strategy they didn't choose.
That's an important point. A system that works 90% of the time can still create 100% of the leadership headache, because the last 10% often contains the risk, the legal exposure, the customer harm, or the reputational damage.
Exactly. The last 10% is where the snakes live. And once escalation paths get weaker, small failures hang around longer. Before, someone knew who to call. Now it becomes submit a ticket, ask the vendor, let's review the output. And everyone sort of stares at the screen while the problem cooks.
And there's another layer, accountability. If AI produces a bad output, who owns it? In practice, responsibility often gets blurred. The vendor points to configuration, leadership points to the team team points out they no longer have enough people. Meanwhile, the organization has already removed the very expertise needed to diagnose the failure properly.
That's the rotten bit. We give the machine authority without equal accountability, then strip away the humans who used to catch the mistakes. It's upside down. And the companies getting loudest about efficiency are often the ones least willing to admit they've just made the whole place more delicate.
So the real issue isn't that AI exists. It's that leadership is solving for cost instead of capability. Once you start there, every design choice bends toward reduction, not reliability.
And then comes the part no one models properly. What breaks after the people are gone? Edge cases, exception handling, weird judgment calls, the tiny compliance checks nobody notices until they're missed. Humans absorb heaps of that, quietly, every day.
Yes, much of enterprise work is less about the standard case than about deviation from the standard case. Security reviews, policy interpretation, unusual customer requests, conflicting data, incomplete records, audit sensitivity. People act as shock absorbers across all of that.
Shock absorbers is good. Better than my version, which was going to be duct tape with opinions. But yeah, same idea. Remove them and the system gets rattly fast. Suddenly, something that looked automated turns out to need judgment every second Tuesday when a contract clause is weird or a record doesn't line up.
And when governance is weak, the risks multiply. Compliance can slip because no one is checking the rationale behind an output. Security can weaken because integrations happen quickly and oversight lags behind. Exception handling gets inconsistent because the people who understood the nuance are no longer there.
And culturally, it lands like a brick. If employees feel augmented, they'll usually lean in. They'll help improve the tool, test the edges, share what works. If they feel replaceable, they do the opposite. They protect themselves. They go quiet. The culture shifts from build to survive.
That erosion of trust is easy to underestimate. Once people believe leadership sees them primarily as cost, discretionary effort drops. Why volunteer insights? Why improve a process? Why surface a risk early if your reward is being designed out of the picture?
Yep, innovation dies of sulking, basically. Maybe that's too blunt, but there it is. People stop contributing beyond the minimum, and leaders then misread that disengagement as proof that they needed more automation, when really they caused the withdrawal themselves.
Which brings us to the more useful question. What are smart companies doing differently? From what we can responsibly say here, they're not treating AI as a wholesale substitute for judgment. They're using it to support decisions, accelerate analysis, reduce repetitive load, and help humans work better together.
And they're usually not the loudest ones yapping about it. They measure outcomes, not just labor savings. They keep humans in the loop where consequences matter. They ask, did this improve capability? Not just, did this cut cost? Massive difference.
I'd frame it as a simple model. First, identify the task, not the mythology. Second, test in real operational conditions, not just clean demos. Third, preserve accountability and escalation. Fourth, measure resilience, quality, and risk alongside efficiency. If you skip those steps, you're not integrating responsibly. You're gambling.
And if you don't understand how work actually gets done in your business, no vendor's going to save you. That's the other illusion. Buying a shiny thing does not compensate for weak leadership. Even a kangaroo could trip over that one. And mate, so do executives every week.
So maybe that's the real takeaway. AI isn't the failure here. The failure is using it as an excuse to avoid thinking deeply about people, process, and responsibility.
Too right. Smart companies use AI to back human judgment, not erase it. The real risk isn't that AI becomes smarter than people. It's that leaders stop thinking altogether.
Well said. Good one, Lachlan.
Cheers, Simon. Catch you next time, mate.
See you next time.